Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. What do we got today, Rick?
We got the Week 5 news and injury report.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs? We'll try this again.
Take 3.
I just recorded the whole intro and realized I didn't turn any cameras on. Killer.
And it happens.
Yeah, at least we didn't record the whole show and realize that. That would have sucked.
Yeah, that would have blown.
So today we have the Week 5 news and injury report. Before we jump into that, check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at the FFChamps, on Instagram at the Fantasy Champions. You can like us at facebook.com/the Fantasy Champions. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other major podcasting platforms, be sure to leave a review and share this podcast with your friendonies. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and leave a comment down below.
Subscribe.
Triple subscribe on every platform you have. Create 5 other accounts and subscribe with all of those.
If you want to see Morgan shave my head, I'll grow up
1,000. You get us to 1,000. All you got to do. Somebody's going to shave their
head. I'm
head.
a haircut too, so it'll go like down to like almost my shoulders again, and then
5 years from now,
shave it all off.
Yeah, it should be interesting. So there's not a whole ton of news on this show. There's news, and we'll probably talk about a lot of it. So we're not worried about that. I feel like we should start with the major talking point that hit before the games happened, and that we're continuing having an issue with going into the next couple weeks. And that's COVID-19.
The attack of COVID.
Yeah. It was going to happen eventually. I'm surprised we made it this many weeks without having any issues, because I was like, all those people who said we need contingency plans in our fantasy leagues were stupid. Well, then, I've been sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is different than what I had planned for COVID, in terms of what the expectation was that a player was going to test positive. Excuse me. And they were going to go home and quarantine, and life would go like normal, except you would just have a guy on the COVID-19 list.
Right. It would be individual players would not be able to play, but they'd like call somebody up with the practice squad or whatever. And
yeah.
Would be able to play. So
the biggest problem that I'm having, and maybe this is insensitive or whatever, is that was the initial plan that everyone had. And because of the attacks, the constant, I guess, reaction and public relations part of the NFL that needs to make sure that they have a good face, a good image put forth so that they don't look like they're just completely negligent when it comes to COVID-19. They respond to it in certain ways that might be slightly hyperbolic. And I don't agree with the hyperbolicness of it. Now, there's talk of an incubation period, and how, Tennessee they continue to get, people who test positive. I mean, we've had 22 players now who've tested, not players, but players and personnel who've tested positive inside the Tennessee Titans organization. So, I mean, obviously that's a problem. What they're saying is that when you contract the illness, it doesn't really show up until 4 to 5 days later, which obviously is a massive issue, considering that you're testing every day and you're not finding out until 5 days after somebody contracted it and then possibly gave it to somebody else.
Right.
So my big thing is that we're not going to be able to control this thing. So just send the person home and quarantine them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a simple way to look at it, and I think that is right in some cases, but in the cases of like Tennessee, when you have that many players, and
like if 5 people test positive all at once, then you got a problem.
Right. But I get what you're saying though, when it's like a single player and nobody else tests positive, like what happened this week with Cam Newton.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a tough situation all around.
So that was the first piece of news that we had. Obviously they moved the Titans and Steelers game we talked about last week to week 7, I believe, or week 8. I can't remember. And then Cam Newton tested positive, and they moved the game from Tuesday, or what was it? From Sunday to Monday. It was supposed to be Tuesday, and then it was Monday. And then they had Stephen Gilmore of the Patriots test positive on Wednesday. So now they're worried that, it was during the game, and the Chiefs are going to have a bunch of people test positive and all kinds of stuff. Now, I said this to you when it happened for Cam Newton, that the only reason why this is talked about as extensively as it has been is because it's Cam Newton. Last week, the week before, AJ Terrell, a cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons, tested positive on Friday. No one said anything about it. They played the game on Sunday and moved on with their life. But because this is Cam Newton, it's a different story. It's a big player, and a big player's name drops, and everyone panics on Twitter, and they start freaking out. And so then the NFL had to respond to it. And obviously the changing situation with Tennessee and Pittsburgh, where a lot of stuff happened there, it became like a continuing problem, and they had to postpone the game. There was no other option. So the reports surrounding Cam are that he currently is on pace to clear. He's asymptomatic. So I guess he's on pace to clear by like Friday or Saturday. If he gets past 10 days and gets 2 negative tests, then essentially he is cleared and ready to go. I don't know that he's going to play this week, so I would just assume that he's not and make a plan otherwise. Right. But if he does play, then you can slide him into your lineups. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just going to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to play this week.
Yeah, but he could do that. Now, as far as COVID-19, I feel like there's going to be the funny thing is it's almost like there are certain people on Twitter that are just ready to pull the "I told you so" card. And they're so psyched about it. They're hyped up and they're like, oh, here we go. We're getting positive COVID tests. Going to ruin the NFL season. I was so right. Yes. And I'm like, you're ruining all of our lives because football is the only escape at this point. Between politics and the election and COVID-19 and the terrible news on the news station, literally the only escape is football. And people want that to end. And I'm like, just stop. So I'm begging you, just stop. Obviously, you want the players to be safe. You want this whole situation to work. You want COVID-19 to not affect the players as much. We had the same situation with the MLB and the Seattle Mariners, who had a bunch of players go to a strip club. Didn't do that again. Guarantee you Tennessee did something stupid. And a bunch of players got it. And you went through 3 weeks of the regular season without getting one positive COVID test. Actually, I would say 3 months without getting maybe 2 or 3 positive COVID tests. And now it's starting to pick up a little bit. So the NFL has got to respond to some of these with tact and understanding. And there needs to be an actionable. I think the NFL had a plan and Twitter blew it up.
You think Twitter blew it up?
I did.
I just blame all your problems on Twitter.
Public relations blew it up. People freaking out about it blew it up. But no, I think they're going to come up with a plan. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as we think it's going to be. And I think the situations like with the MLB and the NFL kind of mirror each other, because I think the MLB came into it and they had the same situation where they got a little bit complacent at the beginning of the season and, maybe stopped wearing masks as stringently, stopped taking social distancing measures and washing their hands and doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do to make sure you stay on the field. And I think they got a little bit lazy because they hadn't had any positive COVID tests. And now I think this week or 2 weeks has slapped the NFL in the face and the players in the face and been like, I'm not blaming the players at all, but like just slapped everyone in the face and been like, we need to take this seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, Cam Newton, positive COVID test. I want to start off with that so we could take up some of this time because this show is going to fly by. Had my shoes off trying to put them back on.
Dude, what?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So outside of the COVID-19 news, actually, you know what? I'll say one more thing. because 2 more players tested positive for the Titans on Wednesday, they're not sure that the Bills-Titans game is going to happen. So right now is your time to start planning for that. If you need a quarterback, go get a quarterback. If you need a running back, go get a running back. If you need wide receivers, waiver wire's open. Like, go do it now before the news breaks.
Yes. Yeah.
Have a plan in place so you know what's going to happen so you can try to get the dub this week. Patriots, because of Stephen Gilmore, they shut down their facility and they don't know if they're going to be able to play on Sunday. My guess is that it would be yes, they're going to play, but there's not going to be a lot of practicing. I don't think there's a lot of players in this game that people want to start anyway, with the exception of Melvin Gordon.
Even then against New England, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, just keep an eye on all that stuff and come up with contingency plans to get ready for your week. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that the tight end of the Broncos, Noah Fant, who had an ankle injury in week 4, will be sidelined against the Patriots in week 5. So tough go about it for Noah Fant. If you have him in your lineup, obviously that sucks.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out for. They said they're taking him week to week, which isn't great. Mm-hmm. I would expect him to miss like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it didn't look good because I watched that game for like 5 minutes. And
Jets Broncos.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was so bad. But I saw the one play with Noah Fant getting hurt, and it didn't look too good. So
yeah, it didn't look great.
Browns running back Nick Chubb also in another piece. We're going to start off with the heavy hitting big news of the week. Nick Chubb was placed on 3-week injured reserve, and he's going to miss several weeks. Reports are 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. He got kind of rolled up underneath a guy, and it bent his knee in the wrong direction, and he sprained his MCL, I believe. So he's going to miss a significant portion of time. Saddle up Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt for the next.
I'm not happy.
Top 5 RB.
I'm not happy that Chubb got hurt. I'm really not.
But you do have Kareem Hunt.
But I do have Kareem Hunt in a lot of leagues.
I have Kareem Hunt in 2 leagues. Too,
with this expectation.
2 leagues, so it was like,
Yeah. I am curious to see how the Browns utilize that backfield because they have Deontay Johnson. He came in and he played a fair amount of he got a fair amount of opportunity in that game.
Had more carries.
He had more carries than Hunt, but I'm trying to figure out if that's because they scored 17 touchdowns on Dallas before.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. It's going to be an interesting situation. But even if they do use Ernest Johnson a lot, Kareem Hunt is still going to be like a top 12 running back, I think. What
is the next piece of news, Rick?
So Mike Evans with an ankle injury. He did not participate in Tuesday's practice. I believe this actually already happened. So
yeah, that's true.
Like so
I knew I was going to put the Bucks in here at some point, and I gave you the piece of news to screw it up.
I would have called it out immediately if I wasn't saying it. But because you made me,
I just let it go too, and you started. You're like reading it. You're like Mike Evans on Thursday.
Yeah, we do pre-record the show.
Yes, as you know. Okay, tell us the next piece of news then.
Okay, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that Austin Eckler suffered a grade 2 hamstring strain in the Chargers' Week 4 loss to Tampa Bay, so he's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
Gross.
This is you probably picked up Justin Jackson in your leagues. I don't know how much work he's going to get. I know they also worked out Kalen Ballage, which is yuck. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the majority of the work between like Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson. I think they're probably just going to ride the hot hand though between those two.
Yeah. Josh Kelly did not see that's the concerning factor is that it's going to be Kelly, Justin Jackson. I think they just want another running back in the room in case, a guy goes down. So I wouldn't worry about the Ballage reports if he does end up signing. But they also have a practice squad guy that they had. If you watch Hard Knocks, chubby guy that couldn't move the ball very. That's rude, but they cut him because he was overweight, I guess. Something like that. Anyway, so they might bring him up, but Anthony Lynn loves his running back, so he might be able to turn Kalen Ballage into something not trash. I mean, his 2 head coaches have been pretty awful with running backs. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks is a long period of time. And at this point in the season, to lose a guy like that over the course of a majority of your bye weeks is going to be damaging, very damaging to teams.
Yes.
Yeah, so it sucks for Austin Eckler, but this is not surprising. It was a pretty bad, it looked like a horrible injury. It looked like he literally tore his entire hamstring in half. When he was on the field writhing in pain, and I'm like, what happened? So it is a bad hamstring injury, and hamstring injuries usually linger. And so even when he does come back, this is very concerning for rest of season outlook on Austin Eckler. And this was the concerns going into the season on Austin Eckler to begin with. He's too small.
Yeah, does that have anything to do with the injury, though?
It could be. It's just hamstring injuries usually happen because they're overworked.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because he's too small, but I don't know if Austin Eckler, the questions of Austin Eckler being able to like hold up over the workload lasted about 4 weeks.
Yeah, that is true, unfortunately.
So, I mean, I love Austin Eckler, but this is a chance for Josh Kelly to really start to take over a little bit. If he can do that, but he just didn't look good in the time he replaced Austin Eckler. So you might see Justin Jackson get some opportunity as well, as Rick said. The Buccaneers tight end O.J. Howard, not related to the Thursday night game. In case you stop me, Rick. He tore his Achilles. He was placed on injury reserve. This happened last weekend. So if you watched last night and you're like, what the hell is he talking about O.J. Howard today for? Because I feel like it. Do you feel like this saddles up the Rob Gronkowski shares a little bit? Makes them more valuable? Maybe.
I don't know if they're going to use him. I think he'll run more routes. I don't necessarily know if that means he's going to get more catches, targets. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think Cameron Brate also might get a little more work than he was getting.
That's true. I forgot he existed.
Yeah, he got a touchdown this week, so I think with O.J. Howard out, he might get some more work, but maybe a little bit more Gronk, though.
That's sad, though. I literally own O.J. Howard. He's my only good tight end in a dynasty league.
He was having a good year, too.
Yeah, he was having a good year. But, yeah, so if he's on your team, drop him. I don't know what to tell you if you were starting him. That's
he's probably just like a week-to-week type anyway.
What's the next piece of news?
So the Patriots placed Sony Michel with a quad injury on injured reserve. So this just means Damian Harris season for the next few weeks.
I guess so.
I know against Kansas City, he had 17 carries for 101 yards.
People were roasting Damian Harris for looking like Sony. And then he broke that like 25-something yard run, a 20-something yard run, I should say.
I think it was like 30-something.
Wow. And he looked like, you know how Sony gets out and he gets like a breakaway run and he just looks slow as molasses. He looks like he's got cement feet.
Yeah.
Damian got at like top speed and like he doesn't get there very fast. But when he does, he's fast.
Yeah.
Which is very different. So I don't
think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry, I keep cutting you off, but I just don't think Damian Harris, like, I was hoping he'd look a little better than he did. I still think he's better than Sony Michel, but I don't think he's, like, anything too special.
It was also a weird week, to be fair.
Sure.
Considering that I think they went into that entire week with an entirely different game plan, and then over the course of the weekend, they had to, like, readjust.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and then Harris was literally activated from IR like that day. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't look great, but I give him the benefit of the doubt. There was some really good runs for him. So it's a good start. They gave him Sony Michel's work, like a very large amount of the work.
Yes.
And so that's good news for anybody who picked up Damian Harris, I guess.
Yeah, as long as Sony Michel's out, I think he could pretty much be guaranteed for like 15 carries a week.
Yeah. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey said he's going to be out at least one more week. I don't think McCaffrey said that. I added the word said, and I don't know why I added that word, but he's going to be out.
Mike Davis owner, I hope he misses at least.
Also Bonifon, I think, the backup running back who's getting opportunity this week, I believe he's out too.
Really?
So Mike Davis, man, saddle up.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
Falcons too.
Christian McCaffrey, my concern with the Panthers is that they're going to rush him back.
Yeah.
And not that the Panthers are going to rush him back, but that McCaffrey wants to rush himself back.
Yeah, that's an injury that, especially with running backs, with the ankle injuries, you just kind of want to take those slow.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you watch the play where he got injured, it didn't really look like
anything too bad.
Yeah. And then it was like 4 to 6 weeks, and I was like, okay, what happened? Fragile ankles over here. Yeah, I mean, I keep an eye on it. When McCaffrey comes back, where do you rank him rest of the season?
He's got to be 1, right? When he comes back, even with the injury.
Really?
Where do you put him?
I'd probably put him like 4 or 5.
Who do you put ahead of Christian McCaffrey when he's healthy?
Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, and Dalvin Cook.
The only person I would maybe consider is Kamara, but I don't think I would. I understand the concern because of the ankle injury and like rushing him back and everything, but he's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
I think you have to put him at 1.
The Falcons head coach Dan Quinn said it's too early to tell if Julio Jones is going to play this week. He had a hammy.
For everybody who owns him.
He did not practice on Wednesday, so I believe it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday or Tuesday. I can't remember, but he had a hamstring injury. I would think that they're not going to play him this week. Julio's been dealing with a lot of injuries this year so far, and I don't know if it was just a lack of training or preparation.
Well, it's been like this last few years. He usually plays through it, but he always has injuries that he's battling at all times.
Yeah, so I would doubt he plays this week. Just keep an eye on the situation and come up with a contingency plan. If you don't have any other wide receivers, which I doubt, but I forgot what his name is. Olmide Zacchaeus? Olamide?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to say your name, buddy, but Zacchaeus had a good game in place of, I guess they played the Russell Gage role on Monday night, so I'd keep an eye on him as a possible replacement. I don't know who the matchup is, though, so.
Yeah. It's, wow, I just had it. I can't believe I'm going to pull this up again.
Yeah.
It's the Panthers.
Oh, yeah, that's a good matchup. All right. Sean McVay said he expects Cam Akers to return week 5. GG Darrell Henderson, who sucked this week.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So I'm going to say this for now until the end of the season. I'm just avoiding the Rams altogether. I feel like we're going to have Henderson and the other 2 clowns. They're just going to break out week to week, and it's going to be all over the road.
Yes. Yep. I've been saying this, so like it's going to be a different guy each week.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't even a different guy this week. It was just awful.
Yeah, they just got shut down by the Giants, which made no sense.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson cleared the league's concussion protocol, so he should be back this week. Drew Locke was held out of Tuesday's practice.
He did practice Wednesday.
He did practice Wednesday. Okay. He has had the shoulder injury. I don't believe he's played the last couple weeks. Do you think he's going to go against the Jets? Have they said anything about that?
It's the Patriots this weekend.
Oh God, I didn't mean to say the Jets. I'm sorry. I'm just my mind is still thinking about that terrible game. The Patriots is what I meant to say.
He did not take first team reps. So what that indicates to me is that
he's not going to play.
He's not going to play. Yeah. They want him practicing back this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hold him out against a tough Patriots defense, and then they'll bring him back for an easier matchup next week.
Okay. David Njoku was activated from injured reserve for the Browns. I don't know when he's going to come back and play, but just not that anyone wants to run out and start him anyway.
No.
Excuse me. Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz is expected to play in week 5 against the Giants. That's a good sign. He had some sort of thigh injury. I hadn't heard anything about it until the report came out.
It says questionable, but is expected to play.
Okay. NFL Network's Mike Garafolo reported that the Jets are expected to start Joe Flacco in week 5 against the Cardinals. Much to Sam Darnold's chagrin, he wants to play this week. And the Jets are just playing it. You know what pisses me off about the Jets? They play everything too safe. That's why you lose. You put your star quarterback on the field.
I mean,
what are you waiting for? He's been in the league for 4 years. Your team's still garbage. Just play him.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
I agree there.
Darnold suffered a shoulder injury in week 4. He did return to that game and play the rest of it, but they want to play it safe for the week and just give Darnold the week off. Essentially just saying we're going to get blown out by the Cardinals. So not worth it anyway. It's interesting because you think that they would play, at least Gase would play Darnold, considering that his job is on the line.
Yeah, but nope.
Yeah. Anyway,
don't start Crowder this week without Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Falcons Dan Quinn said it's. I already put that in there. Literally, why did I repeat it twice?
I don't know.
Wow.
That was your pregame mistake.
Yeah. Interesting. And then final piece of news for the show. Jets designated, well, unless you have anything else, Jets designated running back Le'Veon Bell to return from injured reserve after a hamstring injury. Good sign for him. We'll see how the Jets utilize him. Like I just said on the other Jets news, I feel like there's a lot of situations going on with the Jets, and if Gase doesn't start winning games, he's going to get fired real fast. And I believe a part of winning games is using your talented players. So I would believe that they're going to start giving Bell the ball when he gets back. But
you would think.
But Gase is a complete moron. So I could do a better job coaching an NFL team, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
I think if we work together, we could probably do a better job.
We could probably figure it out.
Just take plays from Madden.
Found this play in the Chiefs playbook the other day. We should run it.
Oh, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Do you have any other news points?
Not that I know of.
I know there's a couple of players who have been out that I haven't gotten any updates on, but I'm not really going to talk about it unless.
Yeah, I don't think anything that's like worthy.
Okay. That'll do it. That'll do it for news and week 5 content, if that's what you want to call it.
We are
the next time you hear us, it'll be week 6. Ugh, crazy. Don't forget to check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and we will most surely discuss waiver wire with you on Tuesday. See you later, Fantasy Champs.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.